Hey, good morning, guys. Tom Davis here, America's Canine Educator. How are you guys doing? Hope everyone's doing well. I'm going to move you so you're not getting all that light, that harsh light there. Move you over here. Maybe. Let's see. Oh, that's a little better. Hope everyone's doing well. I actually have been on the phone all day doing online sessions with all of my online clients from all over the world, which has been fantastic. And one thing I want to talk about today is something that a lot of people are asking me. A lot of people are getting new dogs. I'm messing around with the light here, sorry guys. But a lot of people are getting new dogs right now because of the coronavirus and what we're dealing with. And so there's been a lot of, hey, how do I introduce a new dog to my house? And a lot of people are doing things the right way, and most people are doing things the wrong way, unfortunately. So I want to hop on here today and tell you how to introduce a new dog to your family and to your other dogs. Because one great thing from this whole coronavirus thing is people are adopting dogs, but at the same time, people are getting rid of dogs because of the understanding of how untrained their dogs are, of being pent up in the house with them. But today I want to talk about how to bring in a new dog to your home successfully. And then I'm going to answer some of your questions. Hi from Finland. Hello. Hope everyone's doing well. So if you guys are in this live video, go ahead and hit the like button for me and let me know you're here. And we're also going to do a giveaway. So this is the first giveaway we're going to be doing in a live, which is going to be fun. So what we're going to do for the giveaway is I'm going to be giving away 2 free No Bad Dog stickers. They're super cool. I don't have any right here, but I'm going to be giving away 2 of them. And at the end of this live video, I'm going to ask you guys a dog related question. And then once this video is posted, you just have to go to the video and put your answers and let me know what the answer is. And in the first, I'll probably just do the first hour, I'll pick 2 random people. So anyway, so thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. Hello from UK. I actually did an online session in UK today as well. Los Angeles, Scotland, Finland. Hello, everybody. Denmark. Hope everyone's doing well. We're going to answer questions at the end of this video. If you're watching this video after it's live, thank you so much for joining us here on the Upstate Canine Academy channel. So let's start off with how to introduce a new dog to your house or to your life, really. Well, the big thing here, guys, is understanding that this is primarily going to be geared towards dogs who aren't puppies. So we're not going to be necessarily talking about dogs who are 6 to 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks, depending on when you get your dog. But we are going to touch base on bringing home puppies throughout this process. But there's some huge mistakes that people make when they do bring home a new dog, regardless of their age. So we're going to talk about that. Phoenix, Arizona, what's up? So the best thing to do, guys, is when you're getting a new dog is to give them what they need as an animal, which is leadership. I talk about this a lot. Some of the worst cases of anxiety, some of the worst cases of dog aggression, some of the worst cases of you name it. When it comes to bad behavior, the majority of the time, dogs are not given structure. So we get a dog that we feel bad for because they were in a shelter. I talk about the shelter atmosphere a lot. I used to be an animal control officer. I volunteered at the shelter, and I still try to work with the shelter on most occasions. And the thing about the shelter is, guys, is animals are, yes, they probably would be in a home with no other dogs or with maybe 1 or 2 other dogs, but shelters are very routinely based. They get fed a couple times a day. They get let out a couple times a day, usually. They get clean and fresh water. A lot of the shelters are new or whatever. But so they're getting a better life than you would think. We think a lot about dogs in shelters as an emotional state of mind, which doesn't really help them. And so when we get dogs, we automatically assume that they are, dogs who have been, abused and neglected. That's a different story, of course. That they probably do need a little bit more love immediately to trust. But honestly, like the best thing to do for, thank you, Andrew. The best thing to do for dogs when you get them is to give them a routine, give them leadership, give them structure. Just like with humans, if we are abandoned and we are lost in the middle of the desert and we haven't seen people for 6 months and we're barely surviving, What you really want to see is somebody coming in and say, hey, mister, I found you. Help is on the way. I have a little bit of food. You can take a little bit of water. Do this, do that. Look at me. Pay attention. How many fingers am I holding up? Where are you from? They need that versus somebody coming in and be like, oh, I found you. And they hug you and you guys just talk about your feelings. It's not, I mean, empathetically, it's nice to think about. But the reality is you want somebody to say, thank God, you know what you're doing. You know where we're going. All of that. So again, just making sure that when you guys are getting a new dog into your house, that you're being structure. So what structure? Sometimes people will ask, okay, what does that mean? Structure for a dog who doesn't know obedience or any type of new behaviors or old behaviors, existing behaviors. The first couple of days of your dog's life with you can be bringing them for a walk, literally putting them on a leash and walking them around your neighborhood and just giving them that structure to say, you're on the leash with me. We're going to go for a walk. It's a great bonding experience. It allows the dog to get acclimated to their environment. It allows the dog to get acclimated to you as the handler and anybody else in the family. So the session I just had from the UK online was we have a new dog, and the dog is iffy about some of the people that are coming over to the house, family members and things like that. So anyway, slowing down a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of coffee. If you guys are here, go ahead and like this video. And I appreciate you guys joining me here on I think it's Tuesday. I forget what day it is these days. But go ahead and like this video, and we're going to get going on this. And then we're going to take answers or questions at the end. So yeah, so getting your new dog home, bringing them out for a walk is one of the first things you can do. And then also people. So that's the next big thing is people say, hey, what about new dogs and new people? So if you adopt a dog, you whatever, you get a dog, however the circumstances may be, and you bring them home. If you have another dog and you have other family members, the best thing to do is not have them go right into your house. A lot of people make that mistake of letting your dog right into the house with the other dog and with the people. It's really a very irresponsible thing to do. And again, this is a little bit more towards dogs who are over the age of 1 year old, and not a puppy. It's different, when you get a little baby puppy. But don't let your dog into the house immediately. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. People want to do that because they're like, hey, here's your new home. Enjoy it. It's better than a shelter. So just make sure that you're not doing that. So when you get home, you could text, call your family, have a friend come out with you with your other dog if you don't live with anybody, and say, hey, we're gonna go for a walk. We're gonna see how this works. And so when you're bringing home that new dog, you want to acclimate, just like fish acclimate. It takes a couple days for them, a couple hours. I can't remember the fish whole scenario when you put it into the bag, into the tank, but it does take time to acclimate, so there's no shock into the system. And so getting your dog out, meeting outside and going for a walk before you really even go onto your property. Because if you have a dog that's pre-existing into your house, it could certainly create some sort of possession issues. It could create a lot of different resource guarding issues. So making sure that you just get your other dog, go for a walk. They don't have to meet. They don't have to go nose to nose immediately. Just say, hey, you go up there, I'm going to walk back here, or one of you is here and then the other one is here, and you guys are just walking, and that's how you want to start that relationship, to just make it very neutral. Because a lot of times people who are handling dogs get very nervous. They pull on the leash, they make it very uncomfortable, and it's just not a good scenario or a good situation for the dogs at all. So going out for a walk, same thing with your family. If you don't have another dog and you just adopted a new dog because great, whatever, however and why ever you adopted a new dog, tell your family to come outside and let's just go for a walk. So don't just bring the dog inside, because if the dog is okay with you, that's maybe because they've hung out with you during the meet and greet process. A lot of shelters and organizations and rescues will make you go and meet the dog a couple times before you actually take it home. So the dog is already acclimated to you and they kind of have that bond with you, which is great. But when you go home, don't assume that when you put your dog into your house that it's going to be acclimated to everybody and is going to be okay. That's where I would say that within the first 24 hours of getting a new dog, adopting a new dog, rescuing a new dog, the problems are going to happen within the first 24 hours because of human error and human mistake and assumptions, which is all very, very avoidable. Not unavoidable, but avoidable. Because you have every right and every opportunity to make this more successful. So, going out for a walk, no talking to the dog for a little bit, no looking at the dog, no trying to give the dog treats. Again, dogs need structure. They need somebody to tell them, hey, we are all very confident individuals. And getting on your hands and knees and talking to the dog, very submissive, very insecure to the dog. Especially if you're dealing with a dog that lacks confidence and lacks security of what's going on. If you get down and you create that within you, it makes them very uncomfortable. So just no eye contact, no looking at the dog, no talking to the dog, and just continuing to move forward and just say, hey, we got this. There's a lot of situations in the wolf sanctuary that I used to volunteer at in the summertime. It's a sanctuary, so they don't breed. They're taking in wolves or wolf hybrids that people have bought in because they thought they would be good pets for whatever reason. So obviously, having a hybrid of or just a plain wolf is not a great pet, and people realize that pretty quickly that it takes a lot of work. Anyway, so there's certain wolves that are in the sanctuary that you can actually go in and interact with because they're decently associated with people. And so the first thing we tell people is keep your shoulders up, don't look at the wolves, don't talk to them, don't reach out to them, just walk straight through them. And there was this little girl there that she was like 6 or 7 years old, little girl. And she wanted to go in and meet the wolves, and we said, okay, great. And I said, just you're the queen of the land. You own everything. You don't look at them. And, the wolves are tall. So wolves are not as heavy as like some dogs, but they're very tall. They have large heads, but they're very skinny and lengthy and a lot of leg. And so she came in, and she just walked in very confidently, and the wolves just go whoop right out of her way. So animals really, really, really respect that confidence. And the other thing is first impressions, right? Animals, first impressions are so critical for animals. And that's a great example of talking about some of the wolves and how they deal with things. And it's the same thing with dogs who are a little bit fearful, a little bit insecure, not sure what's going on. That first impression is ginormous. It's absolutely huge. Because they're reading you, they're judging you, they're gauging you. They're like, hey, and you have to give them all the information that they need to be successful. So you don't want to give them the, hey, I'm you don't want to be that submissive. I mean, you really want to be very confident and just ignore them completely. Ignoring an animal will tell that animal that you're confident and they can be secure with you. They don't need that type of stuff. So anyway, first impressions are really big. So getting the family out, going for a WALK, and getting to know each other that way. Now, the next thing that you guys can do, and then we're going to take some questions after this, and if you guys are here, there's about 150 people in here live. Thank you guys so much. And go ahead and just like this really quick. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, we're going to do a giveaway of some No Bad Dog stickers if you guys answer the question correctly, which is going to be fun. It's nothing we've done here before on the live. So, so anyway, so I always talk about turning the love down and turning the leadership up. So just making sure that when you come home with that dog knows that if you give them leadership, they know that you love them. That's a good one. I like that. But it's true. A lot of times people, again, associate, hey, we got a new dog. They've been neglected and abused. We got to give them all this love. We got to give them toys. We have to give them treats. We have to give them, do whatever you want. And that lack of structure and that lack of discipline will actually turn your dog completely oppositely the other way. So just making sure that you guys are giving them that. Now, secondly, if you're bringing in a new dog with another dog, proofing the house. So making sure that once you've done the walk and the dogs are acclimated, you can use a a chain link fence for safety to have them get to know each other. I've talked about that many times in my other videos, using a chain link fence just to get other dogs basically associated with each other safely. You don't have to put any pressure on the leash, and it's really safe because the dogs can look at each other through the fence, and they can start getting to know each other a little bit through the fence, and it's safe, and it kind of protects them from that. So the other thing is again, if you do have another dog, taking up toys, taking up food bowls, taking up water bowls, anything that the dog can possess. But anyway, we've been getting a lot of people adopting new dogs, and I hope that this information is helpful, because the biggest problem and the biggest thing people do is they go out, they get a dog, and they just throw them into the house. And then the dog bites somebody, they fight with the other dog, and it's like, what the heck's going on? It's because you're throwing them into a situation that's not successful. You can easily take that situation that was very unsuccessful and potentially put the dog back into the shelter with another potential bite or the first bite, which is terrible, because you're trying to do the right thing to get the dog a new home and to get the dog to a new location. And when you do that and you bring them in and you put them up for failure and not successful things, you're actually doing more bad than good, because you're throwing them off. So anyway, so I hope that those tips are helpful, and I hope that those things are clear, because it's just little things like that that really make a huge difference in the dog's behavior and their success. So if you guys are here, I'm gonna answer some Q&As here live. If you guys haven't yet, don't forget, like this video if you're watching this in the future. We're gonna do a No Bad Dogs giveaway. And the giveaway question is going to be at the end here in a couple minutes. And all you have to do once this video is posted is go to the video and leave your answers, and I'll pick 2 people randomly to win some stuff. All right, so let's get into some questions. If you guys have them, let's hear it. Vanessa asks, I have a 3-month-old puppy that cries when I leave the room. Should I only come back when she calms down? I don't want to set her up for separation anxiety, but have a hard time letting her cry. 3-month-old puppy. It's a good question, Vanessa. You can do 2 things. You can let her cry it out, but you just have to be conscious that once you do make the decision to say, okay, I can't take this crying anymore, I got to go in, then your dog has basically trained you. It's the whole effect, that the baby is crying effect. If your dog has that separation anxiety, and is whining and misses you and needs you and is dependent on you for happiness, that definitely plays a big role in their mental state of mind in the future. So you want to wean away from that as much as you can. But just know that if you've made the decision to say, okay, I'm going to put this dog in here or away from me, you have to kind of follow through with it all the way and make sure. So to answer your question, yes, I would wait for them to calm down and then go in and give them attention or whatever. So yeah. Let's see. So we have a question. I'm getting a new dog. He's 18 months old, Dalmatian. I went to meet him today. His original home. We're nuts. He was a very aggressive towards me and the owner. Is it a good idea? What should I do? Well, again, taking the information that I've given before, a lot of meet and greets, especially if it's by not a professional, somebody who doesn't do this for a living. If you get somebody that has a problem with their dog, or their dog becomes aggressive to their family members, chances of them introducing you properly are not good. So I would make sure that you're giving the dog a fair opportunity to be successful. So maybe just saying, hey, can you leash up the dog, and then going for a walk with the dog the best you can. And just trying to get to know the dog a little bit more in a situation that's a little bit more neutral, which is exactly what this video is about. So I would just give it a little bit more time and try to take the dog out of the situation that he's in. If he doesn't like the people he's with, he's not going to really like anybody else that enters that home. So I would take it somewhere else. You're welcome, Vanessa. No problem. Let's see. Tara asks, I have a 12-week-old German Shepherd that is very bitey and reacts with further biting if disciplined in any way. 12-week-old German Shepherd that's bitey is probably going through, hey, I miss my siblings. I want to teeth on something. I want to play on something. The more frustrated you get, so dogs, animals in general are like mirrors. And so the energy that you give the animal, the energy that you, like if you're very like, hey, hey, you know, and you're very excited and you're frustrated, dogs sense that, especially at that age where they're like, I'm getting a good reaction out of you. This is fun. So you just have to make sure that if your dog is bitey, I talk about this probably in every video because it's the number one question that we get. They're not bitey because they're probably just chewing on you because they've chewed on their other siblings for 8 weeks or 12 weeks or however long the dog was with their siblings. So you just have to make sure that you're not giving them your extremities. So don't give them your fingers, giving them something to chew on other than your hand or your body. Don't react. Don't react. I mean, you can react by doing something about it, but don't overreact vocally and say, hey, and stop that, and hey, knock it off. Don't do that, because if you do this to a puppy, they're going to go, roof, roof, and they're going to bark right back at you and talk back. So you have to take the higher road, ignore them with the verbalization, and just correct them for doing that. Okay. Yeah, and they could be teething. Okay. So this is an interesting question. I have a new German Shepherd, 9 months old. It constantly eats out of the other dog's bowls. Drives me crazy. How should I stop him? I think if the dog is eating while the other dogs are eating, then you would just either crate your dog so they eat by themselves. If your dog is running up and eating all the other dog's food after they're done eating, then making sure you're pulling the dog's food after they're done eating. So again, if you guys are here, go ahead and like this video. We're going to do a giveaway of some No Bad Dogs, some merch here in a little bit. And I'm answering Q&As of your dog questions right now. So at the end of this, I'm going to ask a dog question, see how well you guys know your dogs. So let's see. Here's a good question. I adopted a 1.5-year-old, 200-pound English Mastiff. He's such a lover, but every once in a while he gets a certain way when he runs around and stops listening and tries to jump. He runs around, stops listening, and tries to jump. It sounds to me, Swagger Dagger 99, is your dog is probably just getting overstimulated. It sounds like a very playful type of behavior. A 1.5 years, still not fully mature mentally, so probably just getting overstimulated and jumping and getting excited. And again, it's the same thing as the puppy that we were talking about. If you match that behavior with, no, knock it off, stop, and you're very vocal and you're matching that behavior, he's going to continue to jump and jump and jump and jump. So just try to ignore the dog, walk away, turn your back, disengage. As soon as your dog gets to that heightened state of mind that tries to get a reaction out of you, you stop what you're doing, walk away, and disengage with the dog. If it gets to a point where he's jumping on you and he's almost like coming after you, put him on a leash, correct him for doing that. A 200-pound dog should never be jumping, period. So, again, if you guys are here, you can ask me your dog training questions. Let's see. Is it bad to never socialize your dog if they are dog aggressive? Absolutely not. It's a good question, Sarah. If your dog is aggressive towards other dogs or doesn't like other dogs, that's a decision that they've made. My St. Bernard doesn't really like other dogs. He's an intact, almost 11-year-old male. He gets pretty grumpy with other dogs. He's seen a lot of dogs. And so the decision is to just say, okay, you don't like other dogs. I respect that. That's okay. That's natural. That's normal. And no, you do not have to socialize them. It's okay. And I think a lot of people get very confused with that. I personally think a dog that can go up to any person and to any other dog, roll over, and submissively pee on themselves is not natural. It's great because we can trust them. It's a great dog to have. But it's weird that some dogs have been bred out of suspicion and primal instincts to keep themselves safe on who they trust and who they don't. So I think that's the breed standard now. Everyone wants that dog who just doesn't care. They'll hop in the car with anybody. But at the same time, if your dog doesn't like other dogs, it's okay. It's natural. It's just something that you have to deal with. I think a lot of people think that there's something wrong if your dog doesn't like other dogs, and that's just simply not the case. It's a decision. Just like with us, we don't like everybody, and dogs don't. They're the same way. So anyway. Okay, how do I stop my 6-month-old puppy from screaming when he sees another dog and some humans? The real question is what are you doing about it when it happens? So you have to correct certain behavior. It's a bit of operant conditioning. So when you're raising same thing with kids, same thing with teaching, same thing with students. If you're not telling them what they're doing effectively and it's working, then you need to switch up your game and do something differently. And then, of course, rewarding them if they do something right. So anyway, it's a good question, but we're going to answer some more questions. This is fun. Does anybody know what day it is? I think it's Tuesday. But anyway, so middle of the week or beginning of the week here in the coronavirus epidemic stuff. Crazy stuff we're dealing with, but it's Tuesday. Thank you. I hope everyone's doing really well. Just a quick side note as I'm looking through some of these questions. I'm looking at this situation with the glass half full. I'm very grateful that I'm able to hop on here and have a community with you guys and talk with you guys and just realize how busy life can get, and this opportunity to have a government mandated shutdown to tell people like, hey, you can't do stuff anymore. I never want anybody to get sick by any means or circumstances, but this whole government shutdown kind of gives us an opportunity to reflect on how busy I think our lives get and how simple things can get once we slow things down. So I hope everyone's looking at this with a glass half full, but sure. All right, let's get into some questions. How do I pick the right breed for me? I have handled many breeds and have 2 poodles, but I want to get working breed. I just don't know how much is the right one for me. It's a good question, Brianna. I think the most important thing is just know your limits, know your schedule. I think if you're an experienced handler and you've had multiple dogs and you're comfortable with dogs, I would say finding, because there's different flavors of breeds too. I mean, you can get a German Shepherd working line, you can get a show line, you can get a pet. So different working breeds have different behaviors and personalities. So I think just making sure that you find the breed that fits you best and you find the breed that works for you best. And then honestly, finding the right breeder to have like a good relationship with, I think is important, because you can tell them, hey, this is my lifestyle. This is my experience. This is my comfort zone. This is how much time I can have with the dog to devote to the dog. I think that's the most important thing is just finding the right breeder. Once you've picked your breed, talking to a couple breeders to feel comfortable moving forward. Is it possible to change the dynamic of 2 dogs who already live together? The older, smaller dog has become more timid over time as the newer, younger dog, bigger dog, wants to play, but plays a bit too aggressive. Is it possible to change the dynamic? It's not possible to tell the bigger dog to stop growing, no. But the smaller dog that's more timid of the dog that's maturing and getting bigger, let them play that out and let them mature together. And there is a good chance that the smaller dog is going to continue to, because you got to think how dogs look at situations. You get this little smaller dog, and then all of a sudden they have a brother or sister, and then that brother or sister just keeps getting bigger and bigger and stronger, and they want to keep playing, and it creates kind of like a weird dynamic. So it will definitely change as that one older dog becomes a little bit more mature and less playful. But I would just wait it out a little bit and see how it plays out, and then using obedience in the future to counter condition that playful energy towards the smaller dog that could potentially be not safe for that dog. Let's see. What's the first leash I should get? First leash? Ryan, good question. We have our training leashes on our website at it's Shopify. It'll be in the description below once this is posted, or it's in there now. You can click on our Shopify account and it has our training leashes. 4-foot leather leashes are the best leashes to use in my opinion, especially when you're just learning how to train. Let's see. Can you train a dog not to hunt or chase smaller dogs? My Rottweiler watches small dogs and tries to hunt them. I always have her on a lead around little dogs, but the owners just let theirs run up. That's 2 questions, I think. But your Rottweiler has a prey drive. That's a primal, hey, I want to chase anything that squeaks and is little and fluffy, which is very common for most dogs to have that prey drive. So you have to make sure that your being responsible, that it's more about being responsible to the other dogs when you're out. Unfortunately, the more your dog is trained, the less things you're going to be able to do with your dog, which kind of sucks. Doesn't really make any sense, but you can't take that out. To answer your question, no, you cannot take the prey drive out of the dog. You can certainly use obedience to control that prey drive, threshold stuff, leave it, heel, so on and so forth. I would make sure that you're making every precaution that when other dogs come up to you, that the owners know that your dog is not friendly by just telling them that. Let's see. Okay, okay, I'm seeing this question a lot. I get it. Okay. Let's see. My dog keeps yapping at the ball until I pick it up. How do I stop that? Well, if I think your dog is obsessed with the ball, which is pretty normal for most dogs. Again, it's just like something that they can do. So you just have to have that off switch. So if your dog is obsessed with an item, what I tell people is not leaving it out for them to access that at all the time. So making sure that you're not giving the dog access to the ball, because they're going to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it to you, and that can create a lot of frustration for your dog. Because they're going to constantly want to play and they're going to constantly want to push it to you. And so you just have to make sure that you're not leaving that ball out, because they're going to keep doing that. So I would recommend the first thing to do is just take it away, put it somewhere where the dog can't see it, and then just work on an off switch to say, hey, we're done playing. Because if you have the relationship of the open relationship of, hey, if the ball's out, we're going to play, your dog's always going to want to choose to play. So anyway, let's see. My almost 3-month-old puppy keeps whining in the beginning of every walk. It takes him 1 kilometer to start walking normally after everything. Is that okay, or is that normal? Sorry, guys, I got interrupted here. So anyway, I would say making sure that you're understanding that your dog, when they're out, is going to get overly stimulated, and they're going to get excited when they're out for a walk. So it is pretty normal for them to get excited and to feel like they are like, it's a lot of overstimulation. So yes, it's normal, to answer your question. There's really not much you can do to tell the dog to calm down, except just stopping, putting the dog in a sit, and just working on calming the dog down a little bit. So yeah, it's normal, but just letting it play out and just understanding that your dog's going to get excited when they go for a walk. All right, I'm going to answer a couple more. If you guys haven't yet, go ahead and like that like button up top. And then again, we're going to do a giveaway at the end of this video, which is going to give away 2 free No Bad Dog stickers if somebody can answer the question correctly, and we're going to be giving that away at random. Let's see. How to control a very dominant shepherd mix that's very dog reactive to behave and get along with other dogs. He's 130 pounds. I would say how to control a very dominant shepherd mix that's very dog reactive. How to control a very dominant shepherd mix that's very dog reactive to behave. He gets along with other dogs, and he's 130. So I don't understand. So is he's dog reactive? Explain that question one more time. So does anyone have any tips on introducing a new puppy into the family right now? I just went over that, Cassandra. If you go back to the beginning of this video, that's what I would recommend. All right. Thomas asks, hey, Tom, could you do a little bit in-depth about what there are with what are the main steps to a new puppy when starting to train, obedience, etc.? Basically raising a new pup from 0 to hero. Great question. So when you bring in a new dog, just realize that they are a sponge. And so that's such a great opportunity for you to just really teach them behaviors. Bringing in a new dog is exciting. They're eager to work usually. All right, guys. When you bring them in, what you can do is get them to do your training. So teach them a lot of free shaping stuff. So if you're not familiar with free shaping, you can look it up. But and then the other thing you can do is just use a little bit of food with your dog, use a little bit of tug with your dog, getting them out and working with them to teach them new stuff. Let me rephrase. When working with a new puppy, think about what their job is going to be in the future. So training them to do what their job is going to be in the future. So if it's, whatever, it's important for you to make sure that when you get a new dog out, that you're thinking about the future. Okay, what is this dog likely going to do in the future? What is this dog's job going to be in the future? And just starting to develop those skills and starting to develop those techniques for the dog at an early age, using not a lot of pressure, a lot of just small room, lots of motivation for the dog, lots of food, lots of tug toys, anything that the dog is motivated in, and teach them free shaping new behaviors, and just having fun with it. I think the most important thing with a new dog is just having fun. So anyway, that's what I would do, and just realize that there's not a lot of pressure. People ask me that all the time, like, "Hey, I got a new dog. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do?" And just there's really not a lot of pressure to it. Just develop your dog the way that you want your dog to be in the future, because whatever they're doing at that age is exactly what they're going to do in the future. So just developing the dog however the dog is going to be in the future. All right, guys. So what we're going to do is. You're welcome, man. No problem, guys. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I appreciate you guys all hopping here on live. Like this video, and then we're gonna do the question right now. So, in the famous series of Star Wars, what character was created off of the dog? So in the movie Star Wars, so if any Star Wars fans, and then if you guys, once this video is ended, you have to go to the actual video to leave your answers. But what famous character in the Star Wars series was based off of a dog? So thank you guys so much for joining me. Go over to this video right when it's posted. Leave your answers, and I'll be giving away some No Bad Dog merch, and I will be doing some more lives in the future. Have a good day. Stay safe. Bye, everybody. I appreciate you guys.